Whosoever will oppose Ram in this country would stand to lose.
In fact, Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee laid his life. He died in mysterious circumstances in the Jammu Kashmir prison when he was arrested for carrying out an agitation for the abrogation of Article 370.
But still they have done well. They have brought the new law on Waqf board. Triple Talaq is there, of course. That was when they were in majority.
If somebody today tries to create a vote bank of Muslims, it is he who is simultaneously giving birth to a Hindu vote.
Narendra Modi was the right person at the right place at the right moment. So it's a cause and effect relationship between Narendra Modi and, I would say, the wave of Hindutva, or what you call the wave of Sanatan Dharma, or the more awareness about Sanatan Dharma values.
In January 2024, the majestic Ram temple in Ayodhya was formally consecrated, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi performing the Pran Pratishtha as the chief yajman in a deeply symbolic and historic ceremony. This movement marked the culmination of centuries-old dispute, bringing closure to a long-standing civilizational aspirations and fulfilling one of BJP's most defining ideological promises. The BJP, which had emerged as the principal force behind the Ram Janmabhoomi movement since the 1980s, thus saw its vision realized in a landmark moment of cultural and political significance.
Well, the history is of about 500 years. And there had been 73, 74 struggles and fights to reclaim the Ram Janmabhoomi in these 500 years. It was in 1984 when the Vishwa Hindu Parishad called the first Dharma Sansad in Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. It was here that the saints resolved to demand back the birthplace of Ram in Ayodhya, the Krishna Janmabhoomi in Mathura, and the Kashi Vishwanath temple site. We decided to focus on the Ram Janmabhoomi first.
So there was this Ram Janmabhoomi Mukti Yagya Samiti which was formed, and then this committee of seers took this movement forward.
At the time, the BJP was still a fledgling force, struggling to establish its presence on India's vast political landscape. In its electoral debut in 1984, the party managed to win just 2 seats in the 543-member Lok Sabha. However, around the same period, the Ram Janmabhoomi movement began to capture national attention, resonating deeply with public sentiment. This movement soon became a turning point in the BJP's journey, transforming it from a marginal player into a rising political powerhouse.
And took out 2-3 years later a countrywide yatras containing an idol of Bharat Mata and a pot containing Ganga water. They crisscrossed through the country. There was a tremendous response. It could be sometime in 1986 or so. And it became such an emotional movement from more than 2 lakhs villages and localities. One brick each was sent to Ayodhya for the construction of the Rama temple. This now ensures that the entire Bharat and in the countries abroad where the Hindus are living, they all have participated in the construction. They all have donated money and material in the form of a brick for the construction of the Rama temple.
Later on, around 1989, the Bharatiya Janata Party, in its Palampur is in Himachal Pradesh, so Bharatiya Janata Party in its Palampur convention or Palampur meeting, you can say, where its national executive was meeting. So they passed a resolution formally taking up the issue of Ram Temple as a part of its manifesto.
Marking a significant shift in the party's political trajectory. The subsequent general elections brought dramatic change. The Rajiv Gandhi-led Congress party was voted out of power. From a modest tally of just 2 seats in 1984, the BJP made a remarkable leap, securing 86 seats and firmly establishing itself as a formidable national contender.
On September 25, 1990, on the birth anniversary of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Lal Krishna Advani launched the historic Ram Rath Yatra from Somnath with the aim of reaching Ayodhya by October 30 to take part in the planned Car Seva. The Yatra ignited a wave of mass mobilization and drew unprecedented public support across the country, becoming a defining moment in India's socio-political landscape.
There was a lot of heat on BJP, its governments in the states, especially like in the state of UP. So they were under Article 365, under Article 356. These governments, so they were kind of dissolved, and Rashtriya Samsevak Sangh, the ideological mentor of BJP, was banned. And after that, so gradually over a period of time, people saw through it that the rest of the political parties, they were not taking care of the feeling of the Hindus, and BJP at the cost of remaining so-called untouchable in the political parley. So it took up that cause, and it continued to stick with that cause, and it became a part of its core manifesto.
The Ram Mandir dispute was a protracted legal battle over 2.77 acres of land in Ayodhya. It began in 1950 in the Faizabad Civil Court and was later transferred to the Allahabad High Court in 1989. After 21 years of hearing, the High Court in 2010 ordered the land to be divided among 3 parties: Hindus, Muslims and the Nirmohi Akhada. Following Narendra Modi's ascent to power in 2014, the government gradually pivoted towards seeking a judicial resolution, a significant shift from the BJP's 1993 stance, which had largely dismissed legal avenues in favor of public mobilization.
When Mr. Vajpayee became the Prime Minister, there was a major mobilization of people in early 2002, and while returning from there, it led to the Godhra carnage in Gujarat, and that actually changed the history of Indian politics. To a great extent, it gave Mr. Narendra Modi an opportunity to rise as a protector of the Hindu community. He was named as a Hindu Hriday Samrat, a majoritarian Hindu nationalistic leader, an avatar which he wore with a tremendous amount of pride, without really hiding it.
One of the key reasons that Narendra Modi was catapulted to power in 2014, of course, his governance record, the organizational might of BJP. So there is a strong undercurrent of Hindutva in the country. And Narendra Modi was the right person at the right place at the right moment. So it's a cause and effect relationship between Narendra Modi and, I would say, the wave of Hindutva, or what you call the wave of Sanatan Dharma, or the more awareness about Sanatan Dharma values, and to vote for party or to vote for leaders who represent them.
The 2010 verdict was subsequently challenged, leading the Supreme Court to hear the case over 40 days in 2019. On November 9, 2019, the court delivered a unanimous judgment awarding the entire disputed land to the Hindus for the construction of the Ram Mandir, while allocating 5 acres of land elsewhere in Ayodhya to the Muslim community for building a mosque.
So the courts have the credit for it. As far as felicitation of Mandir, construction is come. We didn't take a paisa from them. But they felicitated things for us. Whenever we needed some material from far off place, they will see to it that it reaches expeditiously. And the help and advice came readily. So the government helped in expediting the construction.
Now, after Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister in 2014, nothing really was done in terms of speeding up the entire process, because as far as the legal matter was considered, matters were at a standstill from 2010 onwards, when the Allahabad High Court judgment, which actually divided up the property between various parties, there were appeals pending in that in the Supreme Court, and no judge or no Chief Justice was really taking it up.
Congress has once said that Ram is a mythological hero. They denied the existence of Ram as a historical figure, as a religious figure, correct? In that place, against that, this government was in favor. In the court, they took a stand which helped the building of the Ram temple. ASI was, there was all the evidence to prove that this was actually a temple which was broken and made into a mosque. All evidence is there. So the government, the stand which government took in the court was in favor of the temple. So not only fastening the process, but opening the doors. Opening the doors, The way they argued the case, the Solicitor General of India argued the case, So the government had a very big role to play in this.
The same evening, when the judgment was delivered, the possession of the temple land was given back to the trust. But then another trust was to be constituted by the government for the construction of the temple. They did it within time. We decided to go and knock every home, and we did knocked 12.5 crore homes. If you take 5 in a family, then 12.5 would come to about 65 crores. And it was unbelievable. Where we expected a lakh, he was ready with much more than that. So we have the satisfaction of completing an assignment in most marvelous way.
This judgment came in November, 6 months after Modi resumed office for his second term as India's Prime Minister. One core agenda of BJP fulfilled. The abrogation of Article 370, which granted special status to Jammu and Kashmir, has been a part of the Bharatiya Janata Party's agenda since its founding in 1980, and even earlier, when its predecessor, the Bharatiya Jana Sangh, was active. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, founder of the BJS, made the abrogation of Article 370 a core demand. He famously opposed separate laws for J&K and coined the slogan, "Ek desh mein do vidhan, do nishan, do pradhan nahi chalenge."
There was this Praja Parishad party in Jammu and Kashmir. They were the first one to oppose imposition of Article 370. They approached Bharatiya Jana Sangh at that time. Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, the founder of the party, was also the president. Then Bharatiya Jana Sangh took up this issue formally, and in the mid-1960s, around mid-1960s or so, 63, 64 probably, Praja Parishad actually got merged into Bharatiya Jana Sangh. In fact, Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee laid his life. He died in mysterious circumstances in a Jammu Kashmir prison when he was arrested.
After the formation of the BJP in 1980, it officially adopted abrogation of Article 370 as a part of its manifesto and ideological framework. The issue was consistently mentioned in BJP's election manifestos, particularly in 1996, 1998, 2014 and 2019.
By 2019, I think the BJP was clear that if we are winning this election, then we are going to introduce this law without much delay, and that is what happened. And within the first 6 months of the re-elected government, Article 370 had been abrogated. It happened sometime in August 2019, and thereafter the entire political process was rolled out.
The way 370 was removed, it came almost unexpectedly. A lot of work went behind it. Article 35, that executive order, was the path, identified by them. That if you remove that, then 370 is automatically removed, So I think it was very meticulously done. There is not a single mistake. And they rightly identified that in Kashmir, the so-called leaders who were part of the democratic process were themselves playing on both the sides. Many of these leaders, now they, of course, they have after removal of 370, and now they are totally reformed, appear to be reformed. So, I think this was very creditable, that all of them were put in what you call house arrest. So, I think it's a great achievement. Nobody ever thought that India will see removal of 370 from Kashmir so early. And with the desired results.
There were fears that the Jammu Kashmir would erupt, that the Arab countries would stop aid and diesel. The West would impose sanctions. Nothing of the sort happened. I would compliment the government and the Home Minister for implementing it so carefully and with such adequate perfection that nothing untoward happened, even in Kashmir.
So, one advantage with the Honorable Prime Minister and Home Minister had, so far as Kashmir is concerned, that they had clear majority. Maybe not 2/3, but then they had clear majority. So that gave them strength. I think if you look at independent India, this is India's one of greatest achievements.
Atalji led a coalition government of 19 parties. So he had to have a balancing act. There was no time when it could not be done.
When the BJS was formed on October 21, 1951, the idea of a common civil law was included in its core principles. While the BJS 1962 manifesto did not mention the UCC, it was clearly promised in the 1967 manifesto with a pledge to introduce uniform laws for marriage, succession and adoption. In the mid-1980s, under Lal Krishna Advani's leadership, the BJP identified three main goals: implementing the UCC, abrogation of Article 370 and building the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. The 1985 Shah Bano case, where the Supreme Court ruled in favor of alimony for a Muslim woman, became a turning point. When the Congress government overturned the verdict, the BJP and RSS strongly pushed for the UCC.
But this is a blot on Rajiv Gandhi, that he he chose the parliamentary route to overturn the court's judgment, It was part of the BJP agenda. But nobody thought that it can happen. Now you see the situation in this country all these years. Uniform Civil Code is an absolutely secular agenda. You are saying there will be personal law for all religions in this country. Correct? And that is being seen as communal by Muslims and Congress.
When I talk of gender justice, who would oppose? When I say that apart from the dower, a divorcee woman should continue to have a right of inheritance from her husband. When I say that in succession, the women should not be left stranded and out. The difficulty is that it has been determined that UCC is against a particular religion. That has created a wall against rationality. The issues are not being discussed. One man, one woman, it is not being discussed.
It is only in the second tenure that they started talking about it and trying to create something. In various states, it was decided that let us, instead of bringing in a nationwide law, because there could be legal complications back, they decided to do it from a state basis.
After the Rajiv Gandhi-led Congress government overturned the Supreme Court's Shah Banu verdict by passing the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986, the BJP intensified its demand for a uniform civil code. The UCC was added to the BJP's election manifesto in 1989, and it continued to appear in later manifestos, notably in 1996, 1998, 2004, 2009, 2014 and 2019, as a key promise for legal uniformity and gender justice.
Also, the government has made its mandate very clear that it wants to execute this uniform civil code. The state of Uttarakhand has already implemented it, which is the BJP ruled state. And apart from that, BJP government has brought, some of the has been trying to deal with some of the long pending issues like restructuring the Waqf board and restructuring this whole system of Waqf properties. So which then they have brought in CAA, Citizen Amendment Act, granting citizenship to minority Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Jains from the neighboring countries who are persecuted there. So all these things have been done. One, because the party has a majority. Two, and enough number of seats. There is also strong will and a strong political leadership.
It was already there in Goa for that matter. And they are committed to doing it in Delhi also. Of course, they have to take now, since they don't have a full majority, they have to consider their allies, But still they have done well. They have brought the new law on Waqf board.
In June 2023, the 22nd Law Commission of India initiated a fresh consultation process on the Uniform Civil Code, seeking input from the public and recognized religious organizations. The Commission received an overwhelming response with more than 80 lakh submissions by the extended deadline of July 28, 2023. Following this, the Commission planned to organize discussions, seminars, and public debates to analyze the feedback and prepare a comprehensive report on the feasibility and implications of implementing a UCC. The Uniform Civil Code UCC bill has not been enacted into law at the national level.